As you can see from the title in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make drone footage without a drone. Doesn't seem right, does it? This footage you're watching here is definitely taken from a drone. And this footage was not taken from a drone. Looks pretty realistic, doesn't it? Maybe you'd like to see how this was done and use this in your footage, in your videos. Maybe you're talking about somewhere where you're filming. Maybe it's a vlog style and you just want to show people where it is. Maybe it's something else that you're recording and you just want it to be part of your footage. You see that a lot in movies, don't you? These overhead flying shots before it comes down onto the ground. Let's get into it. Did you suspect it was through Google Earth? Yeah, it is. Let me show you the settings and how we went about it. So let's go and open up Google Earth. It's not just Google Earth though, it's Google Earth Pro that I'm using. It's free to download. Make sure you be using Google Earth Pro when you're trying this. So let's open that, and here we go with Google Earth Pro. And that's what it looks like when you open it. Although yours might look a little bit different to that, because the default, apart from having these things on here, which are not normally there, you would also probably find you've got these yellow borders perhaps. You may have other things ticked around here. In order to do this effectively, what you're going to need to do is remove those borders and anything else that's ticked on here, except for you want the 3D buildings and the terrain ticked. They're the only two, just down there. So then you decide where it is that you want to film. Let's say it's, I don't know, let's say it's Las Vegas, for example. So we would actually type in here, Las Vegas, and select that and search. That's going to take us across to Las Vegas. So here we go, rolling through. Now, the reason why I chose Las Vegas was actually because it's an area that doesn't have a whole lot of water. And this tends to work better when there's no moving water, because that's going to be a dead giveaway for the fact that it's not actual drone footage. So we're in Las Vegas, or we've come to Las Vegas in Google Pro anyway, Google Earth Pro. So we're just going to scroll down here. We'll go to an area where we might want to take some footage. And as you can see, as you start to get down nice and close, 3D buildings are all coming up. But of course you've got this name here and you don't want that. If you're trying to pretend that this is drone footage, you're going to want to get rid of that. So that's easily done. You simply, now that you're here, you just hit this cross and that name's gone. So let's go to the options, tools, options, click on that. So these are the things that I recommend you do for this one to make it look as best as it can be. You want to pick true colors. These things can be left as they are. There's no need to change any of that or any of this. For the terrain, you do want to try and use high quality terrain if you can. It does say, as you can see there, disabled for quicker resolution and faster rendering, but most of us these days have got a decent enough computer to be able to do that. And of course a tick here, use 3D imagery. So that's definitely the settings that you want to use in there. These other ones aren't particularly going to bother us too much when it comes to what we're actually filming. So as long as it looks like that, you're doing pretty well. So we'll hit apply and OK to that. So how do we go about actually filming this? Now we would use a screen recorder to capture it, and I should just put a little heads up here that when you're trying to do this footage, or when you're using this footage, Google Earth actually do have some information out saying that if you're going to try this, you should not be covering up the Google Earth footage. You should not be covering, not the footage, the Google Earth labels. They want to know that people can see that it came from Google Earth, and that's fair enough. So it's up to you whether or not you cover that up, but I'm going to show you how I covered it up at the beginning. You have to make the choice whether you think it's worth the risk or not. Entirely up to you. So what we also would have for you to check is, if you go over here to, where are we, to view, when you go into this, you're probably going to find that you've got navigation on, which means you'll have these things here showing on the side, and you'll need to turn those off. So you go into view, show navigation, and just click never, and that'll get rid of those. And of course, when we film, we're not going to want to have any of this menu down the side. And to do that, you simply click F11 on your keyboard, and that will take it to full screen mode. As you can see there, I'm going to click F11 again, and it'll go back. The other way you could do it, of course, is you could simply go into view and click full screen. But as you can see, it says F11 on there anyway. So how do we go about the movement? Well, to use the movement selection, you simply use your arrow keys. But if you use your up and down arrow keys, watch what happens. I'm about to press my arrow key there, going up. That looks pretty much way too fast for a regular drone. Pretty much way too fast. And that way, so you can go left or right, up or down. But what I tend to do is I like to hold down the Alt key as well as the arrow key, and that way, look how much slower it is. And remember, you don't want it to be this high, really high up like that, for example, because drones are not allowed to fly that high and it just doesn't look that good anyway. You want to be bringing yourself down. I'm just using my mouse wheel to scroll down over this at the moment. So if we were to scroll down to here, let's say we wanted to try and do a flyover for this one. All I would do is I would press my my F11 key to get rid of the menu on the side, and then I would be recording this footage here. Now, of course, there's going to be no cars moving or anything like that in this footage, so maybe if you're choosing an area, you want to choose something other than what we're looking at here, just so that you don't get a, it looks more realistic by choosing an area where there's not a lot of cars or moving things. That's why I mentioned not trying to use areas where there's water as well. So if I hold down my Alt key and I press my up arrow, it's now going to slowly move through here and look a lot more realistic. So that's basically what you do. You film that and then you move it across to your editing software in order to give the best the look that you can get. Now, a couple of little hints here just before we finish up. If you're going to be moving across a fair amount of area, please go through and do it as quickly as you can, because if you look at the top of my screen there, see how it says rendering through as I go along? And you'll also find there's some areas, I'll just keep going here, like for example, that's not such a bad thing, but if I scroll out, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's some areas that are scanned in different quality. I wonder if we can see it out here. So for this down here, for example, look at this line here. See how that's a different color to that? So we definitely do not want to be using an area where there's a contrast in colors. But for anything else, like here back in the city where we were, it's easy enough to be able to record that. There's that golf course in Vegas. Now, another couple of little hints, a little hint. If you use your Alt key and let's say we're going to the right, if I scroll this way, that's fine. If I scroll right, or the left arrow key to scroll left, but you can actually also scroll in a diagonal. You simply start with the left or right key and then add an up and down key. So if I start there, whoops, what happened there? Let's just move that. There we go. That's better. So if we start there and then I hit that, now look, I'm holding down my up arrow and my right arrow, and I'm going diagonally to the upper right hand corner. So I'm in Hitfilm Express now, which is the new editor that I've chosen to try and learn all the ins and outs of, because it seems to be a lot better than the old one that I used to use. And what I want to show you quickly was two ways that you can get rid of the Google Earth logo and the toolbar that you've recorded across the top there. one of the ways would simply be to resize the footage so that you stretch it basically. In Hitfilm Express, all I have to do is make sure I've got my selection tool, that one there, and then just hold down the shift key, grab a corner, and if I stretch it out, you'll notice that the toolbar basically disappears. And that's because, and we'll make it a little bit more so that the Google Earth disappears as well. Stretch that out there, and there you can see that the Google Earth has completely disappeared. But that does mean you're stretching a little bit, and you might actually end up with slightly deteriorated image because you're stretching the pixels, not by much. So I'm just going to undo that, put that back where it was, and let me just remind you yet again that if you do decide to use this technique, it's up to you whether or not you choose to hide the Google Earth logo, but it may well be that Google aren't real happy with that because they like to have their branding and like to be able to see. If you want to look up the legalities of that, that's entirely up to you. The other way, if you do decide you want to go ahead with it, would simply be to add another piece of another file across the top. In this case it's a PNG file. I'll give you the link to this. I'll put it where it's accessible to all if you did want to grab that. So I'd simply grab that and put that up here above the track. We'll stretch that out, scroll down here a little bit, stretch that out a little bit so that it fits. And as you can see, if it's too big as well, so I'm just going to quickly zoom out on that. If I bring that back in, holding my shift key down, see how those bars are now moving in and out, covering the toolbar, and if I come in enough, covering the Google Earth logo at the bottom. So that would mean if I then hit the play button, it would play without any of that happening. So let's show you the finished product. I'm going to do a bit of color saturation as well, add some music, and then I'll be back to you. Hang on. Well, there you go. That's how you make drone footage without a drone. Perhaps you'll see a way to making some of those images appear in your footage. Whether you're just filming somewhere out in the community, at a local event, or in a park, or where the kids are playing or whatever. Just throw a bit of that sort of footage in on the front end and yeah, really improve your videos, I hope. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Aussie Mark. You guys know that, I hope. And I appreciate your time, as always. I really do. I appreciate you guys are what makes me continue to produce videos for you to help you guys make better videos. So, if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what to do. Smash on down on that subscribe button for me if you would. And the bell so you know when more footage is coming out, more videos from me. And leave me a comment. Tell me whether you think you'd like to try making drone footage without a drone, or whether you think it's too hard. Okay, see you next time. Bye for now. All the best to you and yours. Have a fantastic day.